Oh.
He's the host.
I'm gonna kick it off.
I'm the co-host.
All right. Let me know. Right. This is still new to me.
What's the name of the show?
Just
New Street?
that's kind of what we landed on after like 20 different things.
Yeah.
The New Street
That's
podcast.
a good name. It's fun, yeah.
And that's podcast, whatever.
That's good.
The topics vary quite a bit, though, I would say.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's
That's the nice thing about it. We're not just focused on just the real estate. It's a little bit of anything.
entrepreneurs, man. No, it's not even. It's entrepreneurs. It's basketball. It's electric cars. Big. Big on electric
Yeah.
cars. And,
NFTs?
NFTs.
NFTs.
We're gonna get into
Yeah,
NFTs
cool.
for sure.
I bought some.
Definitely. You did? It's a dangerous place.
Yeah. When I fucking paid, and then I'm like, fuck you with gas fees. Fuck you with this fucking staking them. I'm like, fuck you with the. Like, I got so pissed on the add-ons.
Yeah, I haven't even. I think the business of NFTs is gonna be the platforms. Like, I have some cool platform ideas, but I think the platforms are just caking, right? Like, they're just charging whatever they're charging to do the transaction, and that's
Yeah.
where all the money's gonna be, and that's the whether it goes up or down or whatever. It's they're
Safe
still gonna be making money, right?
Like the fucking guy who sells you the driver's license. You just got to line up down the door because everyone's got to go through you.
Yeah. What's the big OpenSea? That's the big one, right?
Yeah, I'm on that.
So I think there's going to be a lot of innovation in the space, and I think that there's going to be some cool platforms, and especially with real estate too. I think real estate is going to get integrated into NFTs eventually, and I think the biggest.
Blockchain. They basically said the blockchain will be attached to every purchase.
Well, the blockchain, I guess, is like I like it. Like the blockchain and cryptocurrency is interesting, and it's been around for a long time, and just the concept of being able to transact and have that transaction logged properly, like for everybody to see, is interesting. But the NFTs, I just like that concept of having sort of this.
Yeah, so you have baseball cards hanging
That's what
up
I'm
here.
saying, yeah.
But like, who's to say? And then now that you can say, oh, for
Now
me,
you can prove it.
I like the idea of the visual component, right? It's like, here's something, and it's kind of like, here's the artwork that represents it, right? Yeah. So it's interesting, I think, and when people start putting more utility to that, like, here's a piece of artwork, but with this artwork, you get this and this and this and this, right? And get creative with that, with different platforms. I think that's gonna be really cool. Okay,
Can we get an intro?
let's go. All right, one of Canada's most successful and subscribed YouTube content creators, founder, director, and host of the infamous Before They Were Famous video series that's become the most viewed and detailed online source for celebrity biographies for over 3.65 million subscribers. More recently, growing the Famous News umbrella brand, which features an array of celebrity news channels and media outlets, including BeforeTheyWereFamous.com, which collectively boasts over 1 billion views over the course of the last decade. Canada's celebrity anchor and YouTube entrepreneur, and a good old friend of mine, Michael McCrudden. Thank you for taking the time to join us here on the New Street Podcast.
dang, I didn't even. Do I actually have over 1 billion and 100 million?
So between Before They Were Famous and
Oh, I got over 1.6 then, buddy.
what's that?
I got like 1.6.
You got probably
you
like
missed
what do
the
you mean
Spanish
1.6?
channel.
Oh, I don't even know about the bro.
That's fine.
Just the English.
Yeah.
So 1.6 billion, you mean?
Views, yeah.
Yeah, 1.6 billion views.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
thank you for taking the time out. We're just a startup podcast here. We're just getting going, and I appreciate you coming through, man. Really.
Thanks, man. That was nice. No one ever gives me my roses. So
That's
that was,
it, man.
that was nice.
This you know what? This episode is like it's about your roses. That's what it is, and that's kind of the purpose of the podcast. Is we want to just dive into your journey and really take the bits and pieces out of it that we can. People that might be watching this, they might be able to take out it, get some value out of sort of your experiences and what you've been through. I know you've been through a lot. Obviously, we've been friends, and I've been around your journey. So
This guy's he's downplaying it. This guy was there before my YouTube career, helped me build my first TV show, which ended up on YouTube, and that was like 2006. So Robert and me are like the deepest ties, and we catch up like once a month, and like I tell him what's going on with me, and he tells me what's going on with him. We're always trying to collaborate. So I've moved out your way. This is a big moment for us, man. I can't wait to talk about everything we've been through.
That's it, man. Oh my God, that's awesome. And exactly that. Like I actually like when I think about your journey and sort of everything you've been through and just kind of watched you along the way. So I'm really excited about getting into that and talking about it.
If people ever wanted to see the before they're famous of me, this will probably be the most detailed and like shit you will never find in print or anything I've ever done, because a lot of this stuff, this is all behind the scenes.
It's all behind the
Here we
scenes.
Very
go,
YouTube-y.
Here we go. You heard it here first.
This is the behind the scenes Michael McCrudden podcast. But first of all, congratulations on getting married recently in Vegas. I know you had a more conventional wedding planned, and with COVID kind of spiraling out of control at the beginning of the year, you decided to go to Vegas. So how was that?
Yo, I was legit supposed to get married right there. I can see the building, the Spencer's
I know.
restaurant. So it's wild. My wife was like, if you don't marry me, and we went 2 years of pandemic, she's like, I don't even know if I like you better lock this down. And 2 years was the pandemic was tough for everyone, but it wasn't good for me. And I lived in a cramped apartment, and I kept working, and it was like life just Groundhog Day. Anyway, Vegas was finally, like, after 2 years of seeing the world again, no masks, Vegas was bumping with people, and all of a sudden, like, everyone was like, yo, before they're famous guy, you might have put on 20 pounds, but I fuck with your shit, bro. I was famous again. Like, everyone knew me. You know, the pandemic, like, felt like life just stopped.
Yeah.
So, beyond the wedding, which was magical with Elvis and my parents and all this stuff, it was the best kickoff to the new year. And we did a lot of weird shit, so it was cool.
What's the craziest thing? I've never been to Vegas, so I'm always interested to know what happens in Vegas, because it's always
Well, first of all, it stays in Vegas. I'll tell you that.
Nah, if you're married and you marry her, you can talk about it. But I think I did a bunch of like family orientated stuff because my parents were there, my nephew was there. But we went to some show called Absinthe, which is like a Cirque du Soleil in a big tent, but like the X-rated version, like women weren't wearing tops and all this like sexy stuff. And they had a guy who would roast you, like Tony Clifton. You remind me of like an Andy Kaufman character, but he's like picking up people in the audience and just like decimating them with like, yo, you're too big, whatever. Anyway, it was just that was one of the cooler things I did that I'd never done before. But Vegas is like, and Vegas has changed since the pandemic. Like, they took the Grammys, they got an NHL team, they took the Oakland Raiders. They got it's become like the world stage. Like, LA's not what it was, and everything's going there. So, I don't know. It used to be always kind of a little tacky, and now I think it's like taking over the whole world.
I know from a real estate perspective, because I watch a lot of different markets in the States, and I feel like Vegas is one of those states. I don't even know if it's a state, to tell you the truth. Sorry, but it's
Nevada.
Nevada. Yeah, I
It's a
thought I got
state.
that wrong, so it's all good. But Vegas was like, this kind of cliche place where you just go and party. But like from a real estate perspective, I know that it's booming, and I know that people from California and different places in the States are moving. Like, it's really becoming a great place to set up shop and just live.
I thought like I was gonna move there. I was like, fuck LA, too competitive. Everyone's doing this. Hollywood's got all the stars. So I thought I was gonna move there if I could afford 2 houses. But now it's well, you said it more.
I would get into Vegas before the prices really jump. I know they've been going up, but
Everything's
but if you
going.
think, you
Everything's
know,
going there
it's
now.
Still,
You
I
just
think
said
it's
it.
still like economical. Like, I don't, it's
What,
still
half
not.
a mil American?
You know what? Sometimes I'll see these like Toronto like broken down shack on like a little 14-foot lot, and then like a beautiful Las Vegas home, and it's like same price. So it's definitely. I think you could still get maybe a condo or like something for a decent price in Vegas.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the temperature. I think it's great. I don't know, like the Strip kind of reminds me. It'd be like leaving Las Vegas. Like, I might kill myself from partying too much. But if you live off the Strip, you can survive it, right?
I guess there's suburbs around, right?
Yeah,
Where it's
yeah.
it's like 10 minutes to get in, and you're not too far away.
But for what I do with celebrities, it's Mecca.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You set up shop not too far away in a nice house, just drive in for the show.
Yeah. And when I was there, I got access in Encore Win to Blue Wire Studio, which is like they're letting influencers or celebrities or ESPN, whoever wants to make some content gets into this space. So it seems like super feasible. So I'm hoping to go back.
I think it's a good place to set up shop. Okay, so like I said, the point of the episode, the point of the podcast is to dive into sort of your background. And so let's start sort of at your beginning. And knowing you from an early age, I knew that you had sort of this. I just knew Mike's gonna be in the movie industry. Mike's gonna do something. So like, where did that motivation come from, and kind of that drive to be in sort of the movie film industry initially?
Honestly, dude, it came from doing a commercial in high school, and that like Sega City or some shit. Like, so my sister was an actress and like a dancer and all this shit. So she got all the attention at home, and I wanted the attention.
Got you.
So then I couldn't fucking dance or whatever, but I got this commercial, and all of a sudden that commercial meant everything to like Taylor Naiman, a buddy's buddy, was like, "Yo, I saw you on TV." And all of a sudden I was getting all this like attention and hype, right? And like, I was a shithead. I was kind of not that great at school, but the attention was
rock
like,
with it. Yeah.
all right. Now I got a motivation, and probably like, dude, if you want to put me on a therapy couch, like, didn't get enough attention from my dad, or fucking jealous of my sister, like some weird shit in there. But like, I needed that purpose. I needed that thing. So man, like, once I had made my mind up on that, it wasn't like when, it was like how. You know, like I just was gonna do it. Just whatever it took, it was gonna happen. I knew.
That's it. And then like, at what point did you really start seriously pursuing it? I know like as a kid you kind of have this dream of like, this is what I'm gonna do, but where did that kind of say, okay, let's start making some steps? I guess you were doing some stuff.
I was always
commercials and things like that. I
was always kind of doing it. Never got like the big break. It really. So I did so rather than moving to Toronto and like I was a model and kind of half-assed doing it. I went to university. I'm like, all right, well, backup plan. I'll have a degree. Stupid idea, but that's what I did. So I'll have a degree. So if it doesn't work out, at least I'll work in the industry. So then when I finished university and got a shitty job, by like 25, I'm like, all right, I got to do this. You're not even 22 anymore. Like, you got to do it. Best job was Much Music VJ, hosty. I'm like, okay, you could be an actor. You might get 2 jobs a year. Still going to be serving tables. But if I can host some shit, I'll have a job every day of the week. So mind was made up that I'm going to be a host. You know, I look like Ben Mulrooney or George Stroumboulopoulos or Rick Campanella, like the Canadian guys. Plus, in Canada, that's really the only gig you can get. Like, there's not really, like, movie stars sticking around town. So host it is, and then when no one would hire me, I started making shows. Started making shows with you. But then we're getting to, like, 27, had gone back to school. I didn't even have, like, I was working a bartender. It was, like, no money. Any money I make, I was throwing at projects. Like, this has got to click. It's got to happen. Like, all in.
The scripts.
So I wrote, man, I was at the CBC with a sitcom. They're like, this is actually good. And I'm like, yeah, well, I fucking spent a year writing it. I hope it's good.
What's the one with the potluck? It
was called
the mix, the soup. No, it's the tumbling pot or
melting pot.
Melting pot. Yeah.
It was called The Lion and the Leprechaun.
Okay.
It was about an Indian family and an Irish family. The Irish guy owned the bar. He lost at gambling. The Indian guy saved every penny. Now they had to co-own a pub based on my parents and shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like Little Mosque on the Prairie, like super Canadian, multicultural. CBC was like, this guy knows what he's fucking doing. What the fuck is he? So I was like, I knew I got something, but how the fuck do you get into it? And in Canada, it's just always going to be tough.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, so like then the next big one, or maybe Beer for Breakfast was a huge push for me, right? Mm-hmm. Which, if you guys don't know, so Beer for Breakfast is very much what Nelk became. I spent like, 30 grand on a pilot episode. We filmed like a kegger in Hamilton, McMaster University. Got like 300 kids signing waivers at the door, like doing a party and like Jello, girls taking their clothes off. Like it was Girls Gone Wild meets Jersey Shore. I tried to make it like American Idol. Like we were like grading these kids, like keys to VIP, like and all these like things in it. And then I like didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I'm like, Rob, where do I post this? How do I build a website? How do I get this stuff like out there? And you knew the internet better than me. I just knew how to make some TV stuff, right? So that's kind of where we got working together.
There you go.
But tell me, like, in terms of going the film industry? You mentioned that Canada was kind of soft. Did you feel like you got to sort of a place where you didn't really see much potential, or was it more just the difficulty of entering and like what was the hardest, like what was the barrier of entry in terms of like the traditional film industry that made you say, okay, let's look at this YouTube thing seriously, right? Because this was 10, how long was it, 10, 15 years ago? In terms of like Beer for Breakfast, it was 10.
Yeah, 2006.
Yeah.
It's 15 years.
15 years. So 15 years ago, YouTube was a different
Oh my
animal,
God.
right?
Different landscape,
So
yeah.
how did your mind like make the decision? Okay, like let's look at this. I mean, was Beer for Breakfast wasn't really a YouTube thing. It was more of like let's do this and let's go big with this. Let's, I don't know, pitch it to channels and stuff. But like, so I guess when did that mind shift happen of let's, or what was the challenge that you faced with sort of going to the networks and things like that?
So if I'd been auditioning since I was 5, by the time I was 25, I must have done. I know I did over 2,000 auditions because I used to keep track of them.
Oh,
And I was batting one. No, that's not good. I probably got about 10 rolls. So what's that? Out of the 0.5% or some shit. I remember I had this on my wall. So I realized, okay, you're gonna, and then auditioning costs gas money. It costs taking time off work. That you basically you're waiting, right? And what are you gonna bartend? You can only bartend. So I'm like, out of waiting, I got to do something. I got to make something.
That's it.
And YouTube wasn't what it was. YouTube was still laughed at. You make money doing that was like not even it. It's like, why even do that was what people were saying. Only guy I remember that was doing it at this time was Epic Mealtime. That's the only guy that
Yeah, I remember that.
people knew about.
Yeah.
And like, maybe they make money. I heard they sell T-shirts, but like, no one got it. It just didn't make sense. So when we made Beer for Breakfast, like, if MTV doesn't pick this up, or like, I think we went to a bunch of like edgier channels. If someone like that doesn't pick it up, we're screwed. It's not feasible to make a $30,000 show on YouTube. Like, even still, I like me knowing YouTube now. If they were making
You can't
money
start
on
with
it,
that. You can't start with that.
they might make that on their best month back then. YouTube, yeah.
And it's like you wouldn't start with that kind of concept. You would start with something small, build it
And
up,
work
and then
your way up.
eventually, maybe you get to a place, and maybe the day will come. We could get back to it.
Like, I'm a little old for keggers now.
you
But yeah,
know
we
what?
could maybe find some Nelk kids.
Yeah. So, and this is really why I really admire your story and kind of what you've been through, because you tried a bunch of different things, and it's like the industry, whatever, kind of put these stop signs and put these blocks in terms of the options, and it's just a difficult industry to maneuver in, right? You gotta it's a lot about connections and kind of just different aspects of it. So I really admire how you just kept going and you kept fighting, and I think that process really made you kind of who you are, and yeah, and I think just making your own road and paving your own way through and going the YouTube route. I think I was always a big proponent of that, right? I was always like, I was kind of pushing the digital, right? And I felt like there was a lot of potential there, and I feel kind of coming from where you came from in terms of the movie world. It was kind of frowned upon in terms of this YouTube thing,
Big
right?
time.
So it was kind of a big step for you to.
Big time. It was
so I feel
edgy.
I feel like it's after Beer for Breakfast. I feel like you went through that. Like you went through so much, right? You did the scripts, you did all the gigs, you tried to do, you didn't stop. Like you got the auditions and you got the numbers and you said so that moment where you said fuck this, let's do YouTube. That was after Beer for Breakfast, I guess, right?
Yeah. So I definitely had an early mid. Hold on, one thing. I appreciate what you said, the roses thing there. You gave me some credit. Because when I did blow up on YouTube, all these fucking YouTube guys were like, fuck Michael McCrudden. He just shows up here like he hasn't put in the work we had. Like, they all fucking hated me for some reason. Like, I like took a shortcut because I'm doing, videos on them or whatever. But they had no fucking idea I was like Canada's biggest workhorse. Whatever. So I appreciate you saying that. That's nice of you. But oh yeah, so I did have an early midlife crisis. 3 TV shows. One was a renovation show with my family. Beer for Breakfast was my pride and joy as a college guy. And then the sitcom was a really good piece of work. I actually showed that to someone that worked at Bell Media recently, and they're like, "Yo, you should probably go back with this. Like, it's still a good. It's actually like I actually
Still works.
Like I got honors. I think it was like they didn't make me valedictorian, but I ended up becoming like the king of that course because of this show. Anyway, and that show had Hollywood executives and stuff. So yeah, midlife crisis. At that point, dude, I was like so screwed because all my money, I go now 50 grand in debt and get into my 30s with and all I have is this entertainment knowledge, right? So I think I started making YouTube videos. Like I did a spoof on One Girl, Five Gays, but I did it with old grannies. One guy, five grandmas. Then I did some, these guys in Hollywood would dress up as superheroes and beg for money. So I went to Niagara Falls and did the same. And then, fuck, man, I'm running down the street, almost 30-year-old man, fucking picking up strangers, like mental shit, streaking, like all this weird stuff. And then,
well, my man went hard. Like this guy.
I made a Tim
real,
Hortons
man.
rap. You helped me make the Tim Hortons rap song.
I remember. Yeah, it was like this guy. Yeah.
I'm like an old guy at this point, getting old, and just desperate, man. So YouTube, now I'm gonna make, and
that's a background noise.
So at that point, YouTube, I still hadn't figured it out. So I'm like, if I get one of these videos to go viral, I hear they make $1,000 per million. Like I was thinking that, like, okay, if I just get $1,000, this will be worth it. And those videos weren't popping, like 10,000 views, maybe. Tim Hortons even reposted my rap song, being like, "This guy sucks." Tim Hortons called me out.
What?
I probably spent like $500 to $1,000 to make it, and it's an entertaining video. Well, yeah, I'm no rapper, whatever. So like I'm getting chirped by corporations. Like that's fucking low. So anyway, but all those YouTube videos did get the attention of some younger guys making YouTube videos. And in my opinion, what I'd done with these shows and these scripts, this stuff was way below my standard of quality and production. But they were willing to pay me. They're like, "We'll give you $20 per YouTube video." And I'm like, "Fuck, man! I go to these auditions. If I don't get it, I get nothing. I'm gonna walk away with $20. Pays the gas to get there. All right." And then they uploaded my audition tape, and they got 50,000 views. And it was like Seth Rogen hosting the Oscars, talking about boobs. So it was like, that's the title of their video, and then it just went straight to me, basically telling you what happened. And they're getting the traffic from people looking for the clip, and people got stuck with me, but the video got 50,000 views. I'm like, these fucking kids I'm making TV shows, and I'm getting 1,000 views. I'm spending $1,000 and getting 10,000 views. These guys are putting up garbage and getting 50,000 views, and this guy's buying a condo. So I'm like, there's something fucking here.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to swear. I'm sorry. I've been swearing.
Good, yeah.
All good.
So that's when YouTube became my career.
You saw the potential.
There was something
When it clicked, man.
Yeah, but I still had 3 years of that before they're famous. So it's a journey, right?
That's it. And tell me about sort of the work ethic. That saying, okay, it's a different story if you get signed by a network and then they set you up or something like that. But in terms of saying, okay, I'm gonna start from nothing and go this YouTube route, like. For somebody that's, for instance, starting up right now saying, hey, I want to make a career of being a content creator and I want to kind of do it on my own. I have sort of the hustle and the grind to be an entrepreneur in this space and make my own content. What would you kind of advice would you give them and what does it take in terms of sort of the work ethic?
I think my story is just entertaining in the sense that like I grinded it. But anyone wants to get into it now, I think, like, know for a fact there's more people making six figures, 100 grand a year as creators than ever before.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's doubled since last year. So it's only going to, like, quadruple. There's none of these platforms got 10 to 20 years. What the hell's going to replace them? So anyone watching this that wants to be a creator, never been a better time. You still got 5 years to, like, oh, I'm too late. You're not. Like, just become an OnlyFans. Like, you could pick your favorite. Like, there's so many different ways. When I was doing it, you're that, like, and I've seen the YouTube money go from, Here's an example. I think I got 1 million views in 2015. I get like 2K. I got 1 million views last year on the Island Boys, and I think it was like 20K. So the money is,
Wow.
and that's just one. Then we reposted that to Facebook.
One example, yeah.
So that was just my YouTube money. Now it's on Facebook, making the same money again. And then I don't know, you put on TikTok with a sponsorship, and you can throw it on Instagram with fucking some fit tea in the background. I don't know. However you want to play it. You could do it topless on OnlyFans. Like you could just double down on something and make a bag. And so everyone, hats off to you. I did all the pain and suffering for the great times ahead for everyone.
For real, man.
So I know YouTube was a big platform for you, and you kind of stuck with it. Are you saying now that diversification is obviously smart, like in terms of getting your content and looking at different sources of income and different platforms and stuff like that? And I know you're tapping into that now, but
I loved your question, and I kind of blew past that. Entrepreneurship though is difficult, and you do get stretched really thin.
That's it.
So
like to really make a career out of it. Like obviously anybody can post content and whatever happens, and we're starting this podcast and we're not anticipating any CPMs or any ad money from this. This is just kind of fun. But I mean, somebody saying, I want to make a career out of this. I'm going to create content and, this has got to pay my bills. Like it's a grind.
Yeah. So number one, you have to definitely commit to entrepreneurship. You got to be like, I'm going at this on my own.
It's like anything else. Like people like think, they see all these pranks and different things and whatever it is, and it's like there's so much work that goes into it, right? It's
a ton of people would have given up halfway through your story by now. You know what I mean? So the fact that you put your head down and keep going in itself is pretty amazing.
So commit to entrepreneurship, commit to making it. Pick your platform would be the second thing. I would just pick YouTube or just pick Facebook. I just had some girl reach out to me. I had no idea who she was. She's like, I just got 6 billion views on Facebook, and I'm like my business is on Facebook now. But yeah, I would kind of, if I was giving people advice, I would just pick one, because if you're gonna have to study your analytics, you're gonna have to be reactive to what works and what doesn't work. You're gonna have to try different thumbnails and really, really focus on one thing. And then when one thing starts making money, now you got time to go after something to add. Then you start adding, right?
Yeah.
But I hope we're throwing a lot of things around here. I'm trying to get to all your questions.
So Facebook is paying.
Yeah.
Oh, they're paying.
I made a lot of money on Facebook last year.
That's fabulous.
Yeah, actually, because YouTube
Instagram's
is really
paying
hard
too
for
now?
me right now.
Instagram's paying?
No, but the Reels, I believe we just got monetized for Reels.
Really? Okay.
So, which is a
And
long time
TikTok's
coming.
paying now?
No,
They're
not
coming?
really. But I'm for sure there are people, and there's tons of sponsorships out there. But I just got it. I'm bumping. I'm actually I got a TikTok show now.
Nice.
Which I thought I was too late for, but of course you never are.
Hey, man.
Right.
Like, you keep talking about age and being late. We're just getting started, man. Trust me. It's like you can't think like that. It's
I know.
We're still young, man. We're still super young. So basically, you're saying start with a platform, master it, make some money, and then once you kind of got a little bit of an engine going,
Expand.
get some people to help you out and master the other channels in terms of doing it.
Yeah. So kind of what you're saying. I'm really trying to position myself into more of a mentor, even on my own assets, my own channels. I've been out there. I've done got 1 billion views, but I'm thinking a better resource on educating and training younger people around me, because hosting and reacting to comments and nurturing a community is a pretty hefty job. And I've just done it for so long, so I can answer people's questions really quickly. But I'm kind of moving on. I got a wife. We're gonna have kids soon. I got a house to take care of. I got a few different businesses and stuff, right? So it's do I really want to, be famous anymore? Not really. I kind of did
It
it.
takes a toll on you.
I did it, and I don't know if I loved it.
Yeah.
So kind of I'm shifting. What do I want out of life? And I don't know if I don't really think that's what I want to do. You two have to figure out the systems to clean this space up, and I think there's stats out there of how much content's uploaded every minute, but it's moving like a freight train.
Well,
So I'm there when they did that Adpocalypse, and if you were making family-friendly stuff, you probably never felt anything.
Right.
But someone like me who's on the borderline of that, my whole business was on the rocks for 2 years. It kept going, and then all of a sudden your videos are like, you allocate 2 hours to like go to upload because they ding you yellow. They look for your keywords. You got to change the title. You got to change the thumbnail. If your thumbnail's got a little bit of cleavage in it, not going to fly. So you're trying to, but they don't tell you like what's working, what's not working. So now you're spending an extra 2 hours every shift.
Yeah.
What's allowed, what's not allowed, right?
Yeah.
But so that was definitely the worst part of it. Made the job very tedious because it was like hitting the lottery prior to that. You could do anything and get 1 million views if you knew how to make content consistently. So now you have to kind of grow up, which is fine, but
that's how everything kind of works. It's, you know, you start with sort of no rules, and then just slowly and gradually gets tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter.
Yep.
And I think that's what's going to happen with, I know we're talking about NFTs and stuff, but that's the same thing. It's going to start kind of anybody free for all,
season,
and then it's going to start getting.
And then, so adding to that question you had, and then the haters and the shitty comments, or whatever. I think I did it long enough that I built a thick enough skin for the mean comments.
Yeah. Right.
And you know what, dude, I watch movies with my wife, and I'm like, yo, that guy was on Breaking Bad. I'm talking about Jesse Plemons.
Yeah.
He's an actor. I'm like, that guy was on Breaking Bad, and he was skinny. Now he's a fat fuck. And then I sat back, and I'm like, that's what people say about me in my comments. Like, I'm doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So the comments don't really get to me, but it's like the community. There's community on community harassment. Like I've butted heads with other creators.
Yeah.
But like it's also gotten like to the point like who's snitching to YouTube on it, like, or who's like gonna sue you. Like it
Politics
gets like
on the inside.
like there's some like crazy, like I'd almost say mafia shit happening in the background. But I can't name names or getting too much about it, but like that's the really ugly side of the space.
Got it.
Something you don't even think about really though unless you're doing it, right?
Well, no.
It's crazy, yeah.
So it's more next level haters / competitors
I had an Instagram account that had 160,000 followers, verified, overnight disappeared.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It didn't just happen on its own. Yeah.
And my YouTube channel got hacked and deleted March this time last year. Like this is like bizarre. Like, when you don't even hear about that.
Yeah.
Like who? Like I'm not Donald Trump. Like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
like,
it's
what's
crazy.
going on here, man?
Yeah.
No, you're right.
So the demonetization, you gotta, as somebody that's starting to get into the space, you gotta understand that there's gonna be stuff that happens, and you gotta adjust and be able to adapt to new environments. And then on the hater side, you gotta have that thick skin and be able to deal with it.
Yeah, I think I kind of loosely like grazed over like you have to be an entrepreneur, but that is kind of like you gotta put on your big boy pants and be like, I'm gonna fight every day for this.
Yeah.
And that means because what you don't see when you're watching a YouTube creator, and this is my era, maybe it's not like this anymore.
Yeah.
But you're like forecasting where you're driving this car. You're also worrying about the guy who's chasing behind you. Then you got someone like throwing rocks at your car, which is the comments, and then someone's lit the road on fire, which is YouTube. Man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're kind of driving.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it.
And then you don't know if there's a cliff a kilometer ahead of you.
What's going on?
If the whole thing's gonna right. So
Shoot.
it's like your head's being stretched so many different ways.
That's quite the game. Yeah.
But that means you got to be an entrepreneur. You got to be ready to like
stick to
go
your guns.
for it. And like it's like, listen, I made a few $1 million, so it is worth it. But you ain't getting that money because you just clicked a few buttons.
Yeah.
You're working your ass off.
True.
And people don't realize it when they look at YouTube and they see these videos. It's straight. It's like starting a business. When you start a business, you have different problems, obviously, but anytime you get into a position where you start dominating a market, you're gonna have competitors at your throat, right? And they're gonna try to put you down, no matter what you're doing, right? And it's the same thing here. So it's that's why I love your story, and that's why I think it's just super inspirational to see how you trucked down the road, and it's even when it comes to the haters, it's an interesting relationship because it's great. People will hate on you today, and like you said, this guy makes a comment and whatever, even a competitor, but I think you've always had this long-term mindset, or at least you've been able to kind of get through everything you've been through and continue on. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about it, is if you look at it from a long-term perspective, you're at the end of the day, somebody maybe made a bad comment or hated you, but in the long run, they're gonna look at you and they're gonna probably aspire to you, and they're gonna probably admire a lot of stuff you do.
I've never had anyone say really anything bad. Okay, I had one guy try and stab me, but
Oh man.
beyond that guy,
What?
yeah, I think he was a little off his kilter. That was like on Yonge Street. But other than that, no one's really ever said anything bad to me in my face. Like everyone's been like,
The keyboard warriors,
Oh.
we call them. Yeah.
like I've had like little guys turn into like super fans. Like, oh my god, I've never met anyone famous. I'm like, famous? Well,
That's it.
like
yeah.
everyone's nice.
Yeah.
Like yeah, and then in Vegas, like every bellboy, every bartender, check-in desk, they're all like, yo, I watched your great show, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's almost you got to get out of the studio to kind of feel that. But yeah, then you have
the
to.
world is better than it seems. You know, you go
Yeah.
online, you see all this shit, but you know, you got to have this positive mindset where
And then make friends with other creators because
That's
every
it,
other creator's
yeah.
dealing with
And
this. I look at my
collaboration.
competitors like DJ Academics. He's getting roasted by people.
Yeah.
Like Six Buzz. Someone they post the wrong thing. There's like people going mental after them.
yeah. Mhm.
So everyone's getting it. If you put yourself out there, that's the price of fame.
That's it.
And because I was being reflective, knowing that we kind of talk about this stuff, but I was like, kind of really in my head thinking today, I'm like, I think this is why Hollywood built the Oscars and the Grammys and all these fucking award shows, and they all chose to live in these fucking mansions and be reclusive, because when you put yourself out there, all you really get is negative feedback. People watch your movie, and everyone rates a review, and very few movies are like, it was perfect, right? Everyone has something negative to say because they're living the dream life. So they had to make these award shows and have to be like a little cult to like give each other praise and love to keep them
Yeah.
all happy,
Yeah.
and like it was worth it,
Yeah.
because otherwise everyone else is just villainizing them because they had the balls to go and achieve that.
Yeah.
100%.
Sorry.
No, that's a good point. That's
100%.
yeah.
That really painted the picture.
Yeah.
No
the
doubt
hate,
about it.
the hate is real out there, and it's tough. So that thick skin and that filter of being able to just ignore or just understand, that's part of it. That's a big part of being able to go out and do what you do.
Yeah, man, and it's crazy. Like, I don't know. I've had people come after. Like every year, there seem to be like different. Like, oh, he gets things wrong, and then other people are like, yo, these are like the most. The celebrities are like, this guy gives the most detailed profile ever, and the comments are like, you get it all wrong. And I'm like, where's that coming from?
It's so crazy because there's so much bullshit out there, and everybody's just spreading a lot of rumors, and like you actually put in the time to get it as correct as you can, and everybody's gonna make mistakes or something's gonna change.
No
or
way you're gonna be
different
perfect.
factors. It's and yeah, I mean, that's so that's part of it, right? That's just part of it, and I'm glad to hear you're dealing with it.
It's been a journey, man. It's been, and you're living life definitely in the fast lane. Like there was moments in my career that like you can't. Like I remember we had Jennifer Lopez's team. Like she wants to work with you. We're not doing that, right? Like I was like too busy. Like you're like things are happening so fast, and they can make or break your whole career. But like if these things happened when I was doing Beer for Breakfast, it would have been a month. I would have been celebrating. Like for the last 5 years plus, it's been like 7 days a week, go. And that's just one that came off the top of my head. Like there's been so many celebrity interactions and like highs and lows. Like it's all over. Oh my God, I just hit the lottery. Like it's just crazy. But the best part of it is like I'm 7 years and like every month I've made money. So like,
That's it.
what's the next, that means I'm good for the next 7 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hamilton, welcome to Hamilton. Tell me about Hamilton. Tell me why you decided to settle down. Now, I know you've always talked about Hamilton. I know you went to school here, but other than that, is there a reason you chose?
I want to be
Pace.
neighbors with you, bro.
That's it, man. That's it. Yeah. This is I tell everybody, it's like from Toronto and anywhere in Ontario, it's like sort of this west, and I know Durham's great. Durham's awesome. There's a lot of great places out on the east end of Toronto, but the west side out here is really nice, especially by the lake.
Change of pace for sure.
And you're still close to everywhere you need to go. So I always recommend this area for sure.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So if Beer for Breakfast, so if my career took off at 25, I would have moved to LA. for sure, because I was vainer then and chasing that whole thing. I wanted to be famous or whatever. But by the time I hit 30, that was kind of out the window. I'm like, because fame almost costs you money. Like, you need a PR agent then. You can't offend anyone. You gotta be friends with everyone. You gotta be at these events. You gotta do all this shit that comes with it. Mm-hmm. At 30, I'm like, I just want to run and make my money, kind of. You know. I wasn't rich enough to do all that stuff as well. Like, so whatever. Yeah. So I made my mind up. I wasn't going to Hollywood.
I think at the end of the day, you're at the heart, you're an entrepreneur, and you're a hustler, man, and that's kind of telling of that. It's like you want to run your own business, you want to manage your own stuff, and just keep doing what you've been doing.
I look at Logan Paul. I never saw him at an event or a party.
That's it. Gotta stay focused
till he had made it. And like everyone that I know that's made it on YouTube is like a 12-hour day, 7-day-a-week worker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made up my mind because it was too late in the game, so I got a lot of catching up to do. I got 5 years of work ahead of me, so I'm not going to LA. And then the price. So then I should have got a house earlier, but I didn't really know where I was going to be. I was going to have a studio. Was I going to work from home? I hadn't figured those. So I'm like, I'm going to build a little studio, and I can't afford an office in Toronto, so I'll work next to it. And that just kept going on and on and on. And then the housing market went berserk. Yeah. And I'm like, if I don't get in now, maybe never get in.
Yeah.
But luckily, I'd saved enough money that... Anyway, so I went to Burlington, and I was like, man, like, I was looking just to spend like $1 million. And I was like, I'm not even getting a bungalow. Yeah. It was late to the game.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, all right, I'll up my budget, and I'll look in Hamilton.
And then
I just hit the lottery on the house.
You got a nice little... Manchester Mansion, or however you want to.
I call it the Manor, yeah.
The Manor. Okay. McCrudden Manor, man. It's definitely. I feel like it suits you. I think it's just the perfect spot in terms of. I haven't seen it yet in person, but from the pictures, it looks amazing.
And then so my wife was totally okay with Hamilton, which is like, that was the only thing stopping me from not moving there. I obviously am a super nostalgic guy, so I had beer for breakfast there. I went to university there. I always liked the climate. I always liked like the escarpment, gives you waterfalls and hiking and like stuff to do. It was kind of like not a city, but a city. Obviously, it's got its negatives, right? Like it looks like kind of post-apocalyptic or something. Some of the people look like they've
been through it.
That's the case, right? But I have hope for its future, and like I lived through YouTube being sketchy, and then it turned into what it is. So I think I could like I changed my bio to future mayor of Hamilton. Like I feel like I'm going to be a part of its comeback.
The future. I mean, Hamilton has been on the comeback, but I mean, the future is bright in Hamilton. I think when you look at Toronto 20, 30 years ago, it has some of the same infrastructure and sort of the same signals in terms of where it's going, but it's even like like you said, the escarpment, having that sort of in between the escarpment and the lake. So I think it's got a lot of potential to it. So I think getting into where you got into, and I think the future is just going to get better and better. So congratulations on that. That's awesome.
You guys know more about it than me. Like I kind of just got what I got, but the real estate, so I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's I think it was a good choice, and that house is a beast, and it's got a nice big lot, so that's awesome.
Yeah,
win-win situation. Beautiful.
The city's the plus in this. So I don't, because I'm a hustler, I don't mind the sketchy stuff.
That's it.
And I was definitely like, man, living in Toronto and going to Walmart's not an enjoyable experience. You got to go to Sherway Gardens, or you got to go wherever the hell you got to go. It's like jam-packed. It's like going to Wonderland. Like everything's like crazy. Now I'm like
all the time though.
Everything. The Tim Hortons, is everything's just like rough, and like whatever. So I'm like loving suburbia. I'm loving not living at work. I'm loving having room. Like, man, I even had like privacy. I couldn't even like take a nap in my condo because my wife would be like downstairs with the dogs. It's like, you can nap.
That's it.
Couldn't even nap.
Yeah.
No, I'm napping all the time. I can nap, bro. I'm like over the moon.
There you go.
That's it.
Little things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the car ride, commuting, I was such a commuter, and now I get like a good 45 minutes to kind of process my thoughts. I miss that.
The transport is a good time to think, and you could even take the GO train if you need to, or you can drive, but especially as they get into the autonomous vehicles, it's gonna get better and better. Just set it up and then write your scripts or write your stuff, right?
So the analogy I gave you about YouTube and you're driving, I'm trying to get my business to that autonomous level, right? Where I have someone else taking care of the wheel and someone else making the thumbnail, someone else reading the comments, because I did all that stuff.
Well, this is an amazing time for you because now it's like you've gone through all this stuff and you have so much knowledge. You got some fundamentals and you've built this business and you've built these channels, and it's like I'm just so excited for you because it's just a great time for you to sit back and think and see what the next step is and strategize, and you got so many options and you got so much opportunity to blow this up in different ways. So I think you're just like, this is just the beginning for you in terms of what you're gonna do. But what's next? Tell me what's going on.
I appreciate that, man. I'm definitely, with the marriage and the end of the pandemic and the house, I'm definitely in a reflective period of like, okay, I did that. What's the next 10 years look like? Just everything's just kind of changed. Like I've just today I was raking leaves. Like I just adulted in the last 3 months, making life changes. So so I'm trying to figure out, like, if I want to go back to before they're famous, and I want to get 500,000 views a video, I'd have to really go, all right, I'm going to go another year. I'm going to eat and breathe this show. I'm going to write every script. I'm going to host every video. I'm going to spend my free time monitoring the community, making the thumbnails. Like, I could do that. And I could, and I'd probably make a lot of money doing it. But I don't know if my heart's there. Like, I don't know if I want to do it another year.
Yeah.
I've been building Famous News and building TikTok the last couple months. It's making money. It's blowing. TikTok's just got 3 million views last week or some stuff on one video.
Wow.
So I'm doing that, which was my plan. But I do have I've had quite a few meetings now with the pandemic ending, and I'm hoping. I think Canada's really been like not paying attention. I thought my show was going to get bought out 3 years ago. Like I thought, like eTalk or Entertainment Tonight Canada is going to be like, we got to scoop this guy up, but they never did. And I really feel like they're kind of 5 years behind the ball.
That's it.
So I've been having some meetings with people that seem to want to catch up on that missed time. And if all goes well, hopefully I'll be working with the right people to kind of make something big happen in Canada. That's yet to happen.
I feel like Canada and Toronto specifically is much more on the map these days than it ever has in the past. And I think the opportunities are just as big, maybe not as big, but close to as big as they are in the States in a unique way, right? I think we just have our own way of doing things and our own kind of vibe. And I think there's a lot of opportunities around that.
I heard from Live Nation out on their website, it's like the 4th or 5th biggest concert city in the world.
Yeah.
Like
people big names coming through, yeah.
Oh, everyone, yeah, because of Drake and Bieber and Weeknd, like global recognition. Everyone knows that.
That's it.
But I do think it's missing a media, like, like there's no Complex here. There's no any of them. I don't know. Like, it's all in LA, fucking Rolling Stone or whatever. Like, all that shit that I see on the internet, there's just Six Bus. That's all I see.
That was like the only thing that I was even thinking of that even comes close to that, right?
Yeah.
And that's like Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think Six Buzz is just a perfect example of how you don't need that archaic, traditional system and infrastructure to really be the go-to channel, right? I think it's right for entrepreneurs to just come and take it over, right? So
yeah.
I think
but I do think everyone's a little fragmented and disconnected. Like why is this my first Toronto podcast? I think this is my second Toronto podcast.
Love it.
But to me that's like strange, right?
Seems
like
unusual.
Like I should be on Canada's version of Hot Ones. Oh wait, there isn't one. Like I think that so.
I don't think we have to recreate stuff that's been done. I think we're always gonna do stuff in our own way. It's gonna be different. And I think that's what makes us unique. But yeah, I think
that also leaves opportunity.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
The other day I was thinking, I was like, you always try to. just being in business, you always want to make every day productive and just go hard and do like 100 things, and sometimes things don't work out that way or whatever. And I think sometimes just reflecting and taking some time to really think about stuff, and I think that's kind of what you're doing now. It's kind of, you're like, you have the ability now to think about all these different things that you've put together, and what the best next steps. I think that's going to be the biggest part of your success moving forward, is just really not, because obviously you've been hustling so hard for the last decade, if not more, and that doesn't really give you a lot of opportunity to really plan stuff out. So I think you're just in an amazing boat to just keep going hard, but in a different way, and just do some interesting things.
I really hope to be more of a mentor and finding those next young kids that want to, or even like sharing my knowledge with you guys and spreading it around.
Yeah, I've learned so much in the past hour. It's not even funny. So you touched on this before, the amount of effort it takes to make these videos, from, script to clips and stuff like that. What do those hours look like? How long is it taking you?
Yeah, okay. First, it depends on like the state of your algorithm, right? Like if I know I'm going to get 1 million views, doing this so long, I know what, like say my last video got 10,000 views, you're kind of averaging, you're going to get 5 or 20 on the next one, unless you got something like viral to work with. So your algorithm dictates kind of what ballpark you're playing in, and that dictates how much effort we put into it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But if we go back to like the basic bones of before they're famous, which is an 8 to 10 minute video, thumbnail used to take a half an hour. Now we get down to about 15 minutes. Upload, half an hour. There's a lot of metadata, a lot of title, a lot of keywords. Because of these changes, you might not, someone gets in, like David Dobrik gets in a controversy, you can't even use his name. They're like, don't, because they're trying to like suppress bad stuff, right? So it takes about a half an hour of an expert to really crank out the right metadata. So that's like kind of back end. Writing, we've gotten down to 4 hours. Back in my heyday, I used to do 8.
Holy
but I was also figuring out the system. I was figuring out how to keep people watching. I was figuring out what the show was. So 4 hours to write now. If it's a 10-minute video, I film it in 12, because you want to like get that thing edited quickly. So like if it takes me 15 minutes to film, I got to refilm it.
Right.
12 minutes, they're only shaving out 2 minutes to polish it up. About 4 minutes to edit 4 hours to edit the whole thing. And then the social media, it's about another half an hour to put it, cross-promote it to everywhere else. Yeah. Another half an hour to re-edit for Facebook. But
wow.
Because I have a team, right? And everyone has their part. And then we like rewrite it for Spanish. It's an hour. Then she has to go through that whole system again, has to do a fresh edit.
Oh, man.
But there's a whole assembly line you have to build.
Yeah, now, but that's not how it started. Before it was just you in that condo getting it all done. So, just imagine the amount of work that it takes. From the consumer standpoint, I'm thinking, maybe hour, 2 hours to get this video up and it's good. You would never think that there's that much thought that goes into it, right? Which is amazing.
It sounds like an efficient engine, though. It's, as much as those numbers sound like it takes a little bit of time, but that's still pretty efficient.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you cut down everything in half almost everywhere. Which, you know what I mean? What more can you ask for, right?
No, it's the amount of content being uploaded doubles every year. So you have to get leaner and meaner, or you have to get more famous and better community, right? That's the different. I always see there's content channels or strong personality channels. Before I'm famous, always been like the perfect, I was always iconic, but it was a content thing, right? But like, you got to pick your battles. So I ended up being more content than personality, especially with multiple hosts.
Right.
So you got to get leaner and meaner on the production end. But if you are Nelk, it's like those guys are famous. They're connected with their fans.
Yeah.
So they probably spend a lot more time in fan engagement, comments, flying guests out, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting point. I like how you positioned content and sort of more personality based.
Because I was going to say, you would be like right in the middle, right in the center of it, from the videos that I've watched and stuff like that over time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Actually, some of my people that I work with, we always say it's a battle of business or fame in Hollywood, right? Like, and you need the business to get the fame, but this is like the golden ticket, right? To like reach the pinnacle.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've pivoted that way, and when you do, takes away from your business. So it's like a really hard balance.
Yeah.
And now I'm really differently, I've kind of put this to bed, and this is what I'm doing, and that's why I'm like, I'm going to be a mentor. Because I've decided, like, fame is probably past me at this point. Like, I'm, like, getting older.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's an interesting. I didn't realize that you're kind of made that decision to make that jump.
There's so many
and
aspects.
just focus on that business aspect. But that's really cool. I think, I mean, I feel like when it comes, if you look at it from the long term, and even if you focus on the business side of it, I think you're always gonna have the fame, and I think you're always gonna grow that. I think that's just part of you too, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see sort of how you maneuver the next steps.
100%. What was the second question?
The channels.
Oh,
Channels.
yes. I know you touched on this before as well. You're talking about the TikTok, the Instagram, and stuff like that. What is the broad scope of everything that you have built on now? Like, what are you guys using the most? What's coming next?
Yeah. So having one channel and depending on it is fine. But when you start having staff like I did, went from me to 3 to, I think I got up to 17 people at one point.
Wow.
So you can't just, everyone relies on one channel. And if that channel tanks or disappears, which has happened, you're screwed. So you need multiple streams of revenue. So for me, we got Before They're Famous, main channel. Second one I built was the Spanish channel. That's at like 2.2 million. Doesn't make as much money because people are watching in Mexico or the CPM is not that great. But it's easy to reproduce it. My wife has 400,000 subscribers now. We started in 2019. It's called Famous Entertainment because we didn't know what it was going to be. It was just going to be a feminine version of kind of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that's really like, it caught up to my channel. I think some months it makes more. So it's really become like a pillar of our business. And now she's really done something amazing. And like, obviously, anyway. So we have her building another channel now called Famous Life. I think we just got 2,000 subscribers. It made over $1,000. And that's more or less kind of what we do. But again, more female audience. We find if women watch, you make more money because I guess it's more niche, or like they have so many products, just like diapers.
Yeah.
And it's also in the real estate niche.
I was just going to touch on that, coming from the real estate. That really caught my eye when I was watching the channel. I love watching, see what the celebrities are in. So, I was hooked for, however long it was as well. So I get it 100%.
And every celebrity's bouncing from mansion to mansion or country to country. So like we tried a bunch of different stuff, and the house tours is just what kept growing the fastest. So she's really just become that. And if we try anything else with her, it'll probably be another channel. But because they could run insurance, car commercials, anything, money and big money. And plus there's no controversies here. We don't even divorce would be about as edgy as it gets. But we find if like Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, we talk about them Before They're Famous, they're kind of in like that, celebrity trash category, and that's not good. People don't want to advertise on that.
Yeah.
They want clean and crisp, and that's why the real estate's really good. So there's 3 channels. I always wanted to do famous news. We built a website, and that needs biographies, a big thing, but those little bite-sized stories that happen every day. So I focused on that last 6 months, and it's doing really well. As short-form content, which means Reels, means TikTok, Instagram. And I've always been trying to do it. I just never put the time into it. So I have, and it's finally starting to take off. It's starting to make some money. It's starting to be on its own channel. But I've tried to get other people to do it, and they've never had the persistence or the consistency or the face. Like, people know who I am. So finally, I'm figuring it out. I swear to God, if I give me a year, I'll get maybe 2 years. I'll have 1 million subscribers. I just know how to I just know I can do that. So I think that's 5. Then the Facebook, I think we have 3 Facebook pages. One of them is doing big things. And then everything, there's probably like 12 social, like an Instagram or a TikTok. There's a bunch of them, like people making stuff every day.
Entire empire.
The scale of that is absolutely, crazy. I can't believe, it all started with these videos. Crazy. Unreal.
I'm probably missing some, but that's the general,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Maybe ask him what, because I was going to, but like, if there's like a concept for a show that maybe you think is going to be the next big thing, or maybe you wouldn't want to.
No, I don't care.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, maybe like a concept for like maybe like a baby show. like a fucking Ryan show or something, you know, like what's the next big thing that's gonna be? Because I didn't realize you're so, like, it's like you're really about the business. It's like you're really looking at the numbers and looking at the analytics. So that's really cool.
So based on, you know, you're a big numbers guy, what do you see being popular next, you know, coming for the YouTube channels? Is there a niche that you see people are going to stick to if you had to call it?
I think you always have like your trailblazer, who definitely is Mr. Beast. He's gonna be the king of all kings now. He's gonna go down in history. He's like Logan Paul had it, and Jake Paul probably made the most money. But Mr. Beast is gonna go down to the Guinness World Record book. He's beating PewDiePie, right? The long reigning king. So there's a lot of kids who are just Mr. Beast focused, which is new to me to see. They're all squeaky clean. They're all making these huge, probably they spend 20, 30K per video, but they know they're going to get that on the first day, and then they'll get paid for it for the next couple of years. So these kids are making wild, like, I tied myself to the side of a cliff type content, which is really the best way to maximize YouTube, because it's huge clickbait, long watch time, big celebrity. Like, it's the perfect recipe.
Yeah.
So we're in the Mr. Beast era of 20-somethings. But yeah, kids stuff's a really, I always have this, an idea I have is like, what was that Bill Cosby show? They put the pudding in the jello and the kids say the darndest things. That is like so because I'm my age, every person I meet is like, my kid's got to be on YouTube. Everyone says that to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, someone's got to just put all these kids on YouTube. The parents are going to share it for you. So like, that's always an idea. I'm putting it out there now, so if anyone else does it, I can call you out on it.
There you go.
But that's something I've had under my hat.
That's amazing.
Just don't hire someone who becomes Bill Cosby, I guess.
That's a good way to end it.
So can we have that
That's-
ending?
I was wondering if he's going to throw that in there or not. I was wondering if that was going.
I was waiting for it. I was like, no,
That's it.
Anything else you want to cover?
I'll even touch on that, though. Speaking of Bill Cosby, I just want to throw that in there. My time, probably why I'm a little weathered, like there was a shift in history and humanity. Like, every industry's been totally changed by the internet. But we were going through the Me Too movement. So people were dropping like flies. Meanwhile, this guy in Canada is doing like press pieces without their permission. So like, I had celebrities like shivering, like, fuck, what tweet did I put out one night that he's gonna dig up?
Oh no!
Like we're talking like Lil Wayne, like big people were probably like, because I was like,
Yep.
like
You were digging.
like not even like a year or 2 years ago, Doja Cat's like, this fucking guy, like, where's he get all this shit? Like, I'm like in, like, at dinner parties, celebrities are sitting around like, oh fuck, he made a nice one on me. How about you? Oh, not good. Like, I was in there, but it was like I went through Me Too, went through Black Lives Matter. Fuck, it was just like cancel. Everyone's just getting canceled for everything. It was like literally living on thin ice.
Yeah.
Like, and that was those who went for it. Like Logan Paul got canceled over Japan or whatever, right? You were almost, if you got too high, you got canceled. Like, I got canceled when a rapper died. They're like, oh, like, you make money when people pass away. I'm like, I do biographies. Like, that's how the news cycle works. Yeah. But like, people, if you get too high, you get canceled. Yeah. So it's like I said, it's crazy job to do day in, day out. But you're also walking on that, like, it could collapse any second. It's It's just a crazy way to live. And people do not give anyone in the spotlight, this hyper-focused spotlight, enough credit.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
That's it.
I definitely learned that today. There's just so many things that I've learned today that going to this that I had no idea. And I consider myself, you know, a pretty big consumer of YouTube. I feel like I knew quite a bit about it, but I definitely opened my eyes up today listening to you for sure.